Inside you, there is a little girl who never disappeared. She still lives within you, waiting to be understood, to be seen. Her emotional scars are still there, shaping the way you love, trust, and face the world. Carl Jung showed us that ignoring this hidden part of ourselves prevents us from achieving true self-esteem and emotional fulfillment. But what if the key to truly loving yourself wasn't found on the outside, but deep within you? Both analytical psychology and Zen teachings reveal that only by reconnecting with our lost essence can we unlock an unshakable sense of peace and inner security. If you've ever felt an inexplicable emptiness, if you find yourself repeating the same mistakes without understanding why, or if emotions sometimes overwhelm you for no apparent reason, there is an explanation, and today you will discover it. By the end of this video, you will understand how healing this forgotten part of yourself can forever change your life and the way you experience love. Stay until the end, because today we will explore a fundamental principle that Carl Jung considered the foundation of all personal transformation. Now let's begin. From childhood, we learn to adapt to the world. We are taught to be strong, to hide our pain, to move forward without looking back. But in that process, we leave behind something essential: our inner child. Carl Jung showed us that within each of us exists a vulnerable, creative, and authentic part that has often been silenced. How does this affect your life today? More than you can imagine. Unresolved emotional wounds continue to manifest in your present, the way you relate to others, the way you see yourself, the patterns you repeat over and over again without understanding why. But here's the key: ignoring these signs only prolongs the suffering. However, when you dare to listen to that forgotten part of yourself, a deep, healing process begins. Zen Buddhism and Jungian psychology reveal that self-knowledge is the foundation of personal transformation. This is not just a theoretical concept, it is a real practice that can radically change your life. Today, we will explore how reconnecting with your inner child will not only free you from hidden emotional burdens, but will also allow you to experience genuine, stable, and profound self-love. If you are here, it is not by chance. Something within you knows that the time has come to heal. Stay until the end, because this journey will change the way you see yourself and the way you experience love in all its forms. If this message resonates with you, and you want to continue exploring the power of self-knowledge, subscribe now and turn on the notification bell. Each video is another step in your personal transformation. Don't miss it. Now, let's dive into this process. Within each of us, there is a part that remains trapped in time, a version of ourselves that learned to hide in order to survive. Carl Jung called this part the inner child, a manifestation of the personal unconscious that holds not only our happiest memories but also the wounds that shaped our childhood. Even if we believe time has left it behind, that child is still alive within us, influencing how we act, love, and face the world. Childhood is the period when we absorb beliefs about ourselves and how love works. Every experience, every word spoken to us, every gesture of approval or rejection builds the image of who we believe we are. If we grew up in an environment where we felt protected, valued, and understood, our inner child developed with a sense of security. But if, on the other hand, we experienced abandonment, constant criticism, or were taught to suppress our emotions in order to be accepted, that part of us became fragmented, desperately seeking external validation. The problem arises when that unhealed child continues to operate in adulthood without us realizing it. It manifests in the way we treat ourselves, in how we seek affection from others, and in the relationship patterns we repeat. Why do we attract the same kind of relationships? Why do we feel like we're never good enough? Why is it so hard to set boundaries or express what we truly feel? The answer lies in that part of us that still needs to be heard. Jung taught us that the process of individuation, the journey toward our true essence, requires integrating all parts of ourselves, including those we have repressed. To do this, we must first recognize the existence of our inner child and understand how its wounds are reflected in our lives. Many times, the emotions we feel in the present are not actually about the current situation, but rather an unconscious memory from the past. When we feel an irrational fear of abandonment, it may be because we learned in childhood that love was unstable. When we avoid conflict at all costs, it might be because, as children, we were taught that expressing emotions was dangerous. When we push ourselves too hard, it could be because we once believed we only deserved love if we were perfect. Zen Buddhism offers a similar perspective. It speaks of the inner witness, the ability to observe everything within us without judgment. Our conscious mind tells us we are adults, but our unconscious still reacts as if we were defenseless children. The key to breaking these patterns is to develop the ability to observe our emotional world with compassion, not identifying with it, but also not ignoring it. Every time we experience an intense emotion, instead of repressing it or reacting, impulsively we can ask ourselves, which part of me is speaking right now? This practice allows us to recognize when our inner child is seeking to be heard. By doing so, we begin to transform the inner dialogue that limits us. Jung stated that what we deny in ourselves ends up controlling us from the unconscious. That's why the more we avoid our wounds, the more power they have over our decisions. The only way to free ourselves is to face them, not with fear, but with the intention of understanding and healing them. Healing our inner child does not mean reliving past pain. It means giving it what it never received: love, security, and acceptance. It means learning to speak to ourselves with the same tenderness we would use to comfort a scared child. It means stopping the search for external validation and realizing that what we have always been looking for is something only we can give ourselves. This process is not instant. It is a journey of self-discovery that requires patience and commitment. However, with each step we take toward healing, we move closer to a fuller life, more authentic relationships, and a self-love that no longer depends on external validation. Recognizing our inner child is just the first step. Now let's explore how we can begin to heal those wounds and give it the love it has always deserved. Healing your inner child is a profound process that requires more than just recognizing its existence. It involves establishing a connection, allowing it to express itself, and giving it the space it never had. Carl Jung taught us that our unconscious is not a passive place where memories are simply stored. It is a living force that shapes our emotions, thoughts, and daily behaviors. The inner child does not disappear with time. Instead, it continues to seek ways to manifest in our adult life, especially when we encounter situations that trigger its wounds. Every time we feel insecure, fear abandonment, or seek external validation, it is likely that our inner child is reacting from past pain. When we fail to address these emotions, when we repress or ignore them, we are not solving the problem, we are merely burying it deeper. Jung described this as the shadow, the part of us we prefer not to see, yet it continues to operate silently, influencing our decisions without us even realizing it. To truly heal, we must begin by listening to our inner child. This means creating a space for it to express itself, without judgment, without dismissing its feelings. Many of us were taught from an early age that showing vulnerability was a weakness, so we developed defense mechanisms to avoid feeling pain. However, the more we try to block those emotions, the more they control us. True healing happens when we allow ourselves to feel, when we process the past instead of running from it. One of the most effective ways to connect with your inner child is through inner dialogue. Ask yourself, what does my inner child need right now? Maybe it needs comfort, to be heard, or simply to be acknowledged. Imagine you can speak to this child, tell them they are no longer alone, that you are now an adult capable of protecting them and giving them the love they always deserved. This exercise may seem simple, but it has a profound impact on our relationship with ourselves. Zen Buddhism also offers powerful tools for this process. It teaches us that suffering arises when we resist what is. Instead of rejecting our past, we can accept it as part of our growth. This does not mean justifying the pain we experienced, but rather recognizing that those experiences were part of our journey, and that now we have the power to transform their impact on our lives. Another key aspect of healing is recognizing the behavioral patterns we unconsciously repeat. If we always end up in relationships where we feel unappreciated, if we avoid expressing emotions out of fear of rejection, or if we constantly seek approval from others, it may be because we are reliving childhood experiences. Our inner child seeks to recreate familiar dynamics, even if they are painful, because to the unconscious mind the familiar feels safe. This is where self-awareness comes in. Every time we react in a way that causes us suffering, we can pause and ask ourselves, where is this reaction coming from? Am I responding as the adult I am today, or as the child I once was? This simple act of observation shifts how we relate to our emotions, allowing us to respond consciously instead of reacting automatically. Jung spoke of individuation as the process of becoming our most authentic and integrated self. This is only possible when we stop rejecting parts of ourselves and learn to accept them with compassion. Healing our inner child is a fundamental step in this journey because it allows us to reconcile with our deepest emotions and build a relationship of love and respect with ourselves. It is important to remember that this is not a process that happens overnight. Healing is a journey, one that unfolds step by step, with patience and self-compassion. There will be moments when we feel we've made progress, and others when old wounds resurface. But each time we choose to listen to ourselves, each time we allow ourselves to feel, we are taking another step toward a life of greater peace and balance. We will explore how to rebuild the relationship with your inner child, not only on an emotional level but also in your daily life, by integrating habits and practices that strengthen this connection. Rebuilding the bond with your inner child. Reconnecting with your inner child is not just a symbolic act. It is a daily commitment to listening, understanding, and giving them what they never received. Many people believe the past should be left behind, but the truth is, it remains alive in every intense emotion, in every automatic reaction, and in every behavioral pattern we repeat without realizing it. Carl Jung taught us that the only way to transform our psyche is to integrate what we have repressed, and our inner child is one of those forgotten parts, waiting to be acknowledged. The way we speak to ourselves reflects our relationship with this vulnerable part of our being. If our inner voice is harsh, critical, or demanding, we are likely reinforcing the same treatment we received in childhood. Jung said that the unconscious does not distinguish between past and present, which means that every word we tell ourselves today is heard by our inner child as if they were still small. That is why replacing negative self-talk with compassion is essential. When you make a mistake, instead of punishing yourself with thoughts like, "I'm a failure," or "I never do anything right," ask yourself, if I were comforting a child, what would I say? Most likely you would tell them that mistakes are part of learning, that their worth is not defined by their failures, and that they are still worthy of love. Now try applying that same kindness to yourself. Another crucial aspect of healing is learning to set healthy boundaries. Many people with childhood wounds struggle to say no, to prioritize their own needs, or to walk away from harmful relationships. This happens because as children, we may have learned that love depended on pleasing others. However, adulthood gives us the opportunity to rewrite this story. Every time you set a boundary, every time you choose what's best for you without guilt, you are showing your inner child that they are now safe. This is not about becoming selfish. It is about understanding that self-love is not negotiable. In Zen Buddhism, true compassion is not just directed toward others, it is also directed toward ourselves. Respecting yourself is a form of healing. The inner child is spontaneous, curious, and enjoys the simple things without worrying about perfection or productivity. Yet, as we grow, we unknowingly abandon what once made us happy. When was the last time you painted, danced, sang, or did something purely for fun, without expecting a result? Reconnecting with these activities is not trivial. It is a way of giving your inner child a voice again. Creativity is one of the purest expressions of the soul, and by allowing yourself to explore it, you create space for your inner child to exist freely once more. You don't need to be an artist or have talent. You only need to give yourself permission to enjoy without judgment. Jung spoke of shadow integration, the process of embracing the parts of ourselves that we have ignored rather than fighting against them. By doing this with our inner child, we achieve something incredible. We stop relying on external validation because we learn to give ourselves what we once sought from others. Healing does not mean erasing the past or pretending there was never pain. It means looking at it with compassion and consciously choosing not to let it define us anymore. Every time you treat yourself with kindness, prioritize your well-being, and choose self-love over self-abandonment, you take another step toward healing. This journey is not a straight path. There will be days when you feel like you've made great progress, and others when old wounds resurface. But instead of seeing this as a setback, view it as an opportunity to dive even deeper into your healing. Healing is not a destination. It is a constant journey of self-awareness and acceptance. We will explore how this internal transformation reflects in our relationships and how it reshapes the way we experience love in our daily lives. Healing your inner child is not a one-time event. It is a continuous commitment to loving yourself, listening to yourself, and giving yourself the security you have always deserved. Every time you speak to yourself with kindness, every time you validate your emotions instead of ignoring them, every time you choose what is best for you instead of pleasing others, you are telling that forgotten part of yourself, I am here. You will never be alone again. Self-love does not appear out of nowhere. It is built day by day. It is not about reaching an unattainable perfection or erasing the scars of the past, but about integrating them as part of your story, knowing that they do not define your worth. Carl Jung taught us that the path to wholeness requires accepting every fragment of ourselves, even those we have tried to hide. Zen Buddhism reminds us that healing is not about forcing change, but about allowing ourselves to be who we truly are, without fear, without judgment. When you allow yourself to embrace your inner child, when you give them space to exist without guilt or reproach, you realize that the peace you were searching for outside was always within you. So today, I ask you this. What would you say to your inner child if they were standing in front of you? The way you answer could change everything. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss more content on psychology, personal growth, and life-changing teachings. Share this video with someone who needs to hear these words and let me know in the comments what part of this process made you reflect the most. See you in the next video.